Hello everyone, my name is Yuri Kasdorp from Mouse, and we're back with another track guide. And this time, as you can see, we're rolling onto the Nordschleife. Either for practice for the GT Sprint series or for the 24 hours, good preparation as well. It's also coming up. Very long track guide, lots of corners what can go wrong. The barriers are very close, but let's get into it. Let's drive around the track. I'll show you where to watch out, where to gain time, and how to enjoy this amazing track through Germany. Alright, here we are in the lap. We haven't done the full out lap, just like it will happen in qualifying, so the tires are a bit cold. We are on race fuel though. So we got start-finish straight. It's a bit empty here, but we get to turn 1. I want to keep the car as much to the left as I can, brake just before the 100. The car nice and rotated to the right, so we open up the left hander. Keep the car all the way on the right side. And then careful not going too wide here, so you open up the right hander. And as you can see, tires are pretty cold. Need to be patient. Open up the hairpin. More lift here with cold tires. With hot tires it might be flat. Careful of not braking too far on the right side, green there. It's a quick off track. Open up the next right hander. It's always tough to get the rotation here on the GP track because we are restricted in the front right height. That means the cars have a lot less front end than what we're used to on the Nordschleife. Try to keep the speed up in the chicane. Careful for the off track again. And then we finally get to the Nordschleife. Open up first corner here. Keep it to the left side here. This should be flat or almost flat. Try to straight line the braking. Open up the corners here. One tire right side. Careful going off the curb there, the car might spin. Get one tire on the right side here and focus on a good exit. We get the first straight coming up. Flugplatz. It's usually a small lift before we get the tires completely up to temperature. And it's better to lift here and then be back in throttle and having to lift late or really pushing the car through the corner, because that loses speed on this part here. And trying to keep the car to the inside and brake when the curb ends. Focus on a good exit from here. And we want to run to the right side. Got a blind apex. Make sure you hit the apex on the left side here. Just straight line the braking. Don't brake all the way on the inside curb here. Keep it tight. Keep it tight here again for a good exit. Then small lift to the first left-hander here. Make sure to not run too wide on the left-hander. You compromise the right-hander then. Keep it tight here. Then flat out through this kink here. Then we get to miss the apexes. Try to brake as much on the straight line as you can here. And Brake when the curb ends. And get it on the curb on the left side. Try to set up a good exit. And we're braking just after the sign on the right side. And a good exit here is really important. Because we got the long back straight coming up now. And just run the shortest line. And then a mood curve. We try to open it up as much as we can. Try to keep the speed going through here. Then completely flat through this kink here. Brake from the middle of the track in a straight line. And then we get to probably the most famous part of the track, the carousel. Want to brake from the middle of the track. And then try to focus on a good exit. And you want to keep the left side tires on the bottom of the carousel, the bottom of the concrete. All the way up to Hotlap, like just before the curb. And careful of this outside curb, not going onto it too early. And not going off of it too early either. Understeer, like I did there. Keep it tight on the right hander. Inside on the left to go over the curb. On the curb for the braking. Very easy to run wide here, so be careful. Small tap on the brake. Careful for the off track on the left side. Get the YouTube corner. Get the speed up here. Throttle early. Straighten up the car. The curb on the inside. And we get to the small jump. Small lift before the jump helps our turning. Helps us keep the speed up through here. And then once you are in throttle, it should be flat. From here all the way to the next braking zone. Couple 100 meters away. It's just here. And I brake just after the gravity. Keep the speed up here. Here wants to step out. To brake straight line before second carousel. Keep it tight here. Careful of not running too wide on the exit. Place the car all the way to the left side here. Open up the second part. Onto the Dottinghoye. All the exit speed. And then we get to the Dottinghoye, the longest straight, I think, on any track in sim racing that I can think of at least. So all the overtaking will happen. It's where it's the easiest to get past the lap traffic, of course. Very, very wide. And yeah, draft games will be key here. Go to the Bilsam Bridge, means we're gonna go down. And just straight line it here. As straight as we can here. Still flat, still flat. Then brake all the way to the left side. On the curb. And straight line it out for a lap around the 24-hour track of the Nordschleife. Have a closer look from the outside cam. Right, so here we are from the outside cam, and because it's such a long lap, I don't want this to go over an hour. We will look at the most important parts and the parts where I think you can gain or lose the most time. Or the parts where it can be a bit sketchy to lose the car for not just the VRS races, but also the 24-hour race coming up. So, turn 1, one of those corners, you want to keep the car all the way on the left side, and you want to brake as much in a straight line parallel to the white line on the left side here. But you see there's quite a curve coming into here, and if you just straight line this here to this point here, the car is going to be pointing all the way to the Mercedes-Benz arena here. and it's a nice nice stage, but we don't want to end up there. So we want to keep it all the way on the left side, turn a bit on the power, and by the time we start braking, we want the car to be pointing as much parallel to this white line on the left side. And then we're braking just before the 100. And then keep it to the inside. Again, important here to not run all the way too wide. It's very easy to run very wide from turn 1, and then in turn 2, you end up having to stop the car completely to get it around the curb. So we want to open it up a bit to focus on a good exit. And we got the GP course. Here you just want to make sure to not understeer too wide, especially with cold tires. It's quite tricky. Open up the hairpin a bit. And then we have the same for the hairpin here. You want to be using the track on the left side here. So you want to be using this bit of, I think it's stones on the left side that I built. So you want to be going over this, brake as much in a straight line. You can, if you want, run over this patch of grass here. It's not an off track and it won't make you lose too much grip, because we want to brake just after this patch of grass anyways. And again, brake in a straight line. You don't want to hug the apex normally in this turn. You want to focus more on the exit. And there's a banking around the corner. So we want to run a bit wide and then go towards the curb for the exit to square the corner up a bit. Again, for that good run up the hill. Then we got the Schumacher. Put your car on the right side here onto the curb. Small lift off the curb makes the car turn in a bit if you struggle with understeer going off the curb. Especially with cold tires can be a bit tricky here, so small lift going off the curb. And then back on power. Careful with the off track here. You can put one tire just about on the gravel like I do here, but pretty much any more than this will be not just off track but also slow down. And then talking about off tracks, we want to put the right side tires onto this bit of green here on the right side. We brake just before the 100. But it always feels like if you put slightly too much of the car over this white line, you immediately get an off track. 2 tires on the left side of this white line is not enough. So slightly over the white line with your right side tires for the braking here. This one always catches me out. I want to go over the curb on the inside. Open up the next left or right hander as much as you can. Again, for a good exit onto the straight, and you'll see that as a common pattern throughout the lap. There's lots of long straights after the corners, which means that we want to square up the corners, which means just that we want to focus on the exit as much as we can. For the chicane here, just keep it tight. You can go a bit more even on the left side over the curb. Open up the corner here onto the Nordschleife. As you can see, it's very, very tight and then opens up. So we want to go as much to the right as we can, and then when we get to the inside, we kind of want to follow this curb. Careful, when you get to the Nordschleife part, you go from going up to this line here where the track is pretty much straight, which makes the car understeer, and then it's really easy to hit this wall on the right side. Open it up slightly on the right side here, even more than where the wall is. And then we're truly on a Nordschleife here. We can start our adventure. So double right-hander here. This is flat or almost flat. Depends a bit on the setup you're running and how hot the tires are. Try to brake as much in the straight line as you can here. Normally you want to avoid the curb because it upsets the car. You can, if you want, run over the grass a bit more on the inside here, but everything that's important is that you end up here braking, not all the way on the right side. That way you can go over the curb with the right side tires here and open up this left-hander. One thing to note, if you have too much input when the car is coming off the curb on the right side here to the left, so at this point here, it's very, very easy to lose the rear of the car. So if you have brake, when you go off the curb here, it's very easy to lose the car, and the walls are very, very close here. Especially on cold tires, this is a point where you'll see a lot of people lose the car and end their races and end a lot of rating. Small tap on the brakes. Want to go over the stones again on the right side. to set up for a good exit. Then we got the first straight coming up. Pretty much to run to Flugplatz. Flugplatz can be flat on light fuel or warm tires. When we're on cold tires, it's a small lift here on entry. You want to lift before the corner, not in the corner. Because if you lift in the corner, you'll be slower going out of it. So we want to lift before, so that we can be flat out here and optimize for the corner exit. If you try to go flat here too early, with too cold tires or too much fuel, you end up understeering and struggling to keep it on track here. And even if you do manage to keep it on track without lifting too much, oftentimes you scrap so much speed off the car, because you're turning so much, trying to keep it on the track here, that your speed coming out of here is a bit slower. And that speed out of here is really important because we get a very long straight coming up here. And then let's skip past that. And I think this bit of replay comes back. Alright, so then we come to Schwedenkreuz. And Schwedenkreuz, tricky corner. It's almost flat over the crest, but not quite. Because we want to keep it to the inside here after the crest. I want to follow this inside curve just to set up the next corner for better braking. We could run a bit faster over here maybe, but then we're less consistent and our braking for the next corners too compromised. So I like to just lift a bit on the top here to keep the car tight, so that when I get to this point here, when I want to start braking, right where the curve ends, I want to be as close to this curve as I can to just brake in a straight line on the left side. Missing the apex just slightly, but keeping the speed is most important here. I can throttle early, and then you can run all the way over the curb on the left side. I've got to run down the hill, which just goes all easy flat. The bottom as well. I want to open it up to the right side here. Get the car all the way to the right side on the curb, or close to it, as close as you can. And then it's very important that we hit the apex on the left side here. And as you can see, it's a complete blind apex. And there's nothing really to aim for here. There's not really a marker that I have that gives me the apex. It's practice. And where to aim for right about it. You can't aim for anywhere in the tire or the trees here. You can't really use this gravity for info. So you just want to know the apex is about there. And I don't hit it exactly the same every time, but as long as I go and hit this curve here over the inside. And what that allows me to do is again brake in a straight line for this next part. So I want to be braking from the middle here. And what happens if you take this speed that I'm taking here and you miss this, you end up here. You might be able to avoid the wall, but you're going to be braking from all the way to the right side. And then you're going to miss the next corner, which is what you'll see happen quite a lot in the races here as well. Because this is a tricky corner. If you don't know exactly where this curb is yet, again, it's just practice knowing where this curb will be. Go a bit slower, because it's a very risky area and the walls are very, very close to the track, as you can see. If you hit the curb though, right after you hit the curb, so over the curb you want to have minimal pedal inputs to keep the car stable. Right after the car settles down, brake as hard as you can. Keep the car, if you can, not all the way to the curb on the inside here. What that allows me to do is start turning before I hit the apex. So if I'm not all the way on the curb here, I can start turning a bit before. If I'm all the way on the left side here, I have to go straight and only start turning when I get here, and then you run a bit wider. Hug the inside curb here. Small tap on the brake to set up for good exit. And we got a small lift on this next left-hander here, Metzgersfeld. Small lift here, all the way off the throttle though, but it doesn't feel like you're lifting a long time. Again, here careful, because we end up all the way on the right side, almost on the grass. And if you hit the grass here, because we have to brake almost immediately after the corner, it's very, very hard to stop for the next one. As I said, right after the corner, you want to brake. And then it's very easy to run all the way to the curb on the right side here. But if you can't take the next right-hand kink flat, you're taking the left-hander too fast. So, we want to slow the car down and make sure that by the time we get to the exit here, we're not all the way to the curb, we can take the right kink flat. Small tap on the brake here. Again, you don't want to hug the inside completely here. You want to hit it on the second part or keep it a bit wider. Both works here. And then hit the outside curb. I got a small chicane here down the hill, and this is a very tiny lift, but most of the time it's just easily flat. Get the car all the way to the left side here, and then we get to this triple apex right-hander. And like I called it in the Hotlap, for me I call it miss, hit, miss. Which means that on the first apex, you don't want to completely hit it. Second one, we want to hit the apex. The third one, we can run completely wide because we want to end up on the left side here. Then here, I try to brake where these tire marks start. And the most important part is here to remember, the more you're turning, the less you're braking. So I'm braking as much in the straight line here, then I start to turn more. Need to go off the brakes. And then I got an opportunity here to keep my wheel as straight as again, the car straight, brake more again, and then when we start turning in, we have to go off the brakes again. So the more you turn, the less you brake into this. That means that we want to brake as much as we can in a straight line. Careful of running too wide here, it's going to lose you a lot of time on the exit. Then we get to other now. Want to brake here just before the curb ends on the right side. Careful of running onto this exit curb here. Might look enticing, but it's gonna understeer you right off the road. Want to run 2 tires on this curb here on the left side or very close to it. And then by the time this curb ends, you want to send it to the inside for a good exit. I normally run even a bit wider on the exit. And here I want to brake right at the sign on the right side. For me, for the inside cockpit camera, it looks like just after. But if you look from the outside, depending on what kind of view you're running, it's just before the sign on the right side. Down 2 gears, and it's very easy to stop the car too much here. Because there's camber, you can take quite a bit of speed, but you can't turn in too early. So keep it wide on the entry. You don't want to hit the curb yet, you only want to hit the curb towards the end here. And then throttle early, take a bit of the exit curb, and it's all important to get a good exit onto the straight because it's a very long straight coming up. Right, so then at the end of the straight, we get the mood curve. And you want to open this up as much as you can. You want to hit the stone on the right side, close to the wall, and then small lift here into the corner, back on power again. Careful of not running too wide here, very easy to get the off track, or even the wall on the right side is not far either. The small kink here is easy flat. And then you can see something weird here. You got a right-hander coming up, but I'm driving to the right side of the track. And that's because the curb here goes to the inside. So what I want to do is come from this side of the track and then brake in a straight line to the outside. So I want to brake from the middle of the track, but as you can see, my car's coming from the right side. And that way, if I'm braking just before the curb here, I can brake right in a straight line. And that again allows me to brake a bit later. And we get to the carousel. Many people's favorite corner. I don't like it at all. But the way to take it here, you can brake from the middle of the track, or brake from where I'm coming from, but brake in a straight line. And by the time you want to start turning in, you want your car to line up with the carousel. And the left side tires, you want them to follow the bottom of the carousel as much as you can. And then if you do it right, On the entry, you want to have a bit of brakes on to get rotation in the car. But then you need a bit of throttle throughout the corner to get the rear really set into the carousel. And it needs to push into the carousel. As you can see here, this point here, the car's not understeering, it's pushed into the carousel because I've got the throttle on. You can see this happen here. By the time I've got the car lined up, I go on power, the rear pushes into the carousel and keeps the rotation going. If that doesn't happen, you're gonna end up spitting out of the carousel and either losing time, hitting the curb, or even worse, hitting the wall on the right side. So the way to do that again, keep the left side on the bottom of the carousel and bit of throttle throughout the whole thing. If you do it right, it's gonna spit you out the right direction and you're gonna have a lot of speed coming out of it. And then you got the next section coming up here. It's pretty much all medium speed corners. I'll go over it quickly, but the main point of it is that you never want to take a corner the max speed. You always want to keep the next corner in mind. It's a whole section and they're all combined together. So you always want to sacrifice the previous corner a bit for a better run to the next one. Unless it's two of the same corners after all, of course. And you want to maximize the exit to maximize the entry of the next one. So here we brake just before the curb. Again, keep the speed up. Careful of not going too early to this outside curb. If you go too early, it'll pull you towards the wall. Small tap on the brake here. I understeered a bit to the outside here. And then again, keep to the right side. Make sure to keep it to the left, keep it to the right again. Sacrifice the previous one a bit for the next. Same here, don't run all the way to the left side. Keep it tight here. Small tap on the brake. Can run all the way right side here. Although not understeering. Small tap on the brake in the bottom, try to keep the speed up and exit over the curb on the right side. And then this corner I want to take a tiny bit more time, because this corner here we get a jump. And in this jump there's a couple things that you can do wrong and a couple things you can do right. If anyone watched Porsche Esports Super Cup a couple years ago, this is where Sebastian's job, hopes for a title, pretty much ended. And the way it ended here was downshifting right when you hit the point here where the car's in the air. Normally the cars have downshift protection. That means that if the tires are running a certain speed, you're not allowed to downshift. Of course, if you tap the brake right at this point here and you tap the brake when the car's in the air, you can see the car's completely in the air here. Of course the tires stop and it allows you to downshift much faster because there's no downshift protection. The wheels are not spinning. If you downshift right at this point when the car's in the air, it can be that you're in very high revs and sometimes the engine can explode, but most of the time it's just going to upset the car. Another thing to do here, make sure you tap the brake a tiny bit before the jump. If you tap the brake a tiny bit, you're going to have a much nicer entry to the right-hander. If you don't tap the brake, the car's going to jump more, and you're going to struggle getting the car to turn in for the right-hander here. Or, also very famous clip, Dylan Scrivens here showed in the 24 hours of the race. Don't tap the brake, and you jump quite far, and you land right with the left side tires on this curb here, right side tires here. It upsets the car completely, and the car will just shoot off to the left side into the barrier. Also ending the race. So, what you need to be careful of, just tap the brake a tiny bit on the entry, because it's the faster way to drive anyways. Tiny brake to get the car to land before it goes up again, and the car will immediately start tripping up again, and you have a nice entry to the next corner. Again, small tap before, and then when you land, big tap on the brakes. Try to not downshift right as you get to the jump either. And then you should have a good run through here. And then sacrifice the entry a bit, so that when you get to this point here to be on full throttle, you're on the inside curb, and you can just keep it flat to the next left-hander as well. And all of this is just flat once you know the line. You want to brake just after the gravity on the floor here. Here, just make sure you keep it tight. The rear of the car often wants to snap here. This is also where a lot of races end. And then make sure to not run too wide on the left side by braking too late. Small tap on the brake and get the entry right to this corner as well. And again, famous corner in the iRacing 24-hour history. This is where the car of Max Verstappen and Ayhan Guven crashed about 21 hours into the race while leading. They ran too wide, hit the grass on the left side here, and then ended up in the barrier on the right side and ending the race. So be careful of not running too wide into this one. It's very tempting to run too much speed. Running too wide here will mess you up for the next left-hander completely. And then we got a small carousel. You want to brake as far to the right side as you can. I'm running all the way on the curb as you can see, even close to the grass. Tap on the brake, start to turn in. You want to aim for being very close to the curb here. You don't want to aim the bottom of the carousel on this one, being very close to the curb. When it spits you out, careful of not spitting you out too early, because if you hit the grass here, you're also going to hit the wall. The wall's too close. Then again, open the car, going up as much as you can, small tap on the brake. On top of the hill, you want to be all the way on the left side close to the grass. Small lift, and then full throttle again to the dotting area. Right, and then end of the dotting area, we get to the Bilstein Bridge. All just flat down the hill as well. Flat here as well. Then we get here. It can be flat, but a small lift here won't lose you much and just makes it much more consistent braking. So I normally take a small lift to make sure that my braking at the end of the curve here goes in a straight line, and I want to end up on the left side with 2 tires on the left side of this line here for braking. So we want to run all the way to the left side. You can see there's a bump here, so it can upset the car, but you still want to take this here for better entry. To run over the tiles on the right side. Straighten up the car, and that's a lap around the Nordschleife. So we survived one. We need to survive another 40 minutes of this week, or 24 hours of this in the endurance race. Right, so there we go. A whole lap around the Nordschleife. How to dance around the track, over the curbs, close to the barriers. Once you get the hang of this, the track has just unmatched flow. There's nothing quite like it in the whole of sim racing, whole of iRacing. I highly recommend learning it. It's a tricky track. It will bite you. It will bite many people in the races. But if you get it right, it's very rewarding. So good luck learning it. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next week for the next track guide.